You know the name, he's the father of gods and men, the guy with the lightning bolt, the lord of the sky. But his story, it's not just some old myth. It's basically the operating system for the entire Greek cosmos. So let's dive into the life story of the original king, Zeus.
And that, right there, is the central puzzle of Zeus, isn't it? On one hand, you have this ultimate source of order, the being literally holding the universe together. But on the other hand, his personal life is just a Category 5 hurricane of chaos and drama. He's the one who makes the rules and the one who breaks them all, which is exactly what makes him so compelling.
To really get Zeus, you have to go back to the beginning. Before he was a king, he was a prince who was never ever supposed to survive. And his story starts in the terrifying shadow of his father, the Titan king Cronus, a guy you would not want to meet in a dark alley.
You see, Cronus lived in a state of constant gnawing paranoia. And why wouldn't he? He had seized power by overthrowing his own father, Uranus. He knew the playbook. So when his parents dropped a prophecy on him that one of his kids would do the exact same thing to him, well, he decided to take matters into his own hands.
So Cronus cooked up this just horrific plan to cheat fate. Every time his wife, Rhea, gave birth, he would snatch the baby and swallow it whole. Just like that. Hestia, gone. Demeter, gone. Hera, Hades, Poseidon, an entire generation of gods imprisoned inside their own father before they could even take their first breath.
Rhea was, as you can imagine, completely heartbroken. She couldn't stand to lose another child. So she goes to the island of Crete and gives birth to Zeus in secret, hiding him away in a deep cave. Then she comes back to Cronus, but instead of handing him a baby, she gives him a big rock wrapped up in baby clothes. And Cronus, so consumed by his fear, he doesn't even look twice. He just swallows it whole. So, with Zeus growing up safe and strong in that cave, the clock was ticking. The stage was set for a rebellion that would literally shake creation to its core. This was the Titanomachy, the War of the Titans.
Once he was old enough, Zeus came back, but he was smart. He didn't just charge in. With a little help from a titaness named Metis, whose name means wisdom, he tricked Cronus into drinking a special potion, and it worked like a charm. First, Cronus barfs up the rock, and then, one by one, out pop his siblings, not babies, but fully grown, powerful gods. And man, were they ready for some payback.
This war was an absolute grind. For 10 long years, neither side could get the upper hand. The young Olympians were fierce, but the Titans were the establishment. Zeus knew he needed an edge. So, he went down into Tartarus, the deepest pit there is, and freed some of his father's old prisoners, the one-eyed Cyclops and the 100-handed Hecaton chairs. As a thank you, the Cyclops forged him the most iconic weapon in all of mythology, the thunderbolt. That was it. That was the game changer. Armed with lightning, Zeus led his siblings to a final crushing victory.
Okay, so the Titans are defeated, locked away for good. Zeus and his siblings have won. Now what? They had to figure out how to rule the cosmos without becoming the same kind of tyrants they just overthrew.
What they did was actually pretty clever. The three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, drew lots to divide up the world. Poseidon got the sea with his trident, Hades got the underworld with his bident, and Zeus, he got the sky, the highest realm of all. This made him first among equals, the chairman of the board, ruling over the new divine order from their headquarters on Mount Olympus.
And make no mistake, this King of the Gods thing was not just a fancy title. He commanded total respect. When Zeus walked into a room, everyone stood up. He was the final judge in any dispute, and his word was absolute law, backed up, of course, by the threat of that thunderbolt. All the other gods, whether they were his own kids or not, called him father.
But his power wasn't just about cosmic politics and controlling the weather. Down on Earth, he was the glue that held society together. As Zeus Xenios, he was the protector of guests. The laws of hospitality, that was his department. As Zeus Horkios, he was the keeper of oaths. Breaking a promise or mistreating a guest wasn't just bad manners. It was a direct insult to the most powerful being in the universe. And he took that stuff personally.
All right, so we've got Zeus the lawgiver, Zeus the king, Zeus the great stabilizer. But now we have to talk about the other Zeus, the great disruptor. Because the same god who enforced the sanctity of oaths and contracts had a personal life that was anything but orderly.
Look, from our modern point of view, his constant cheating is, well, it's a huge character flaw, to put it mildly. But for the ancient Greeks, it was something else. These affairs weren't just scandals, they were the engine of creation. This was the mythology's way of explaining how the world got filled with everything from divine concepts and artistic inspiration to the legendary heroes who built their civilization.
His divine kids are basically the building blocks of culture. With the Titaness of memory, he fathered the 9 muses, the source of all creativity. With the Titaness of natural law, he fathered the fates themselves, and the story with Athena is just wild. To dodge a prophecy, he swallows his first wife, Metis, who is pregnant, only to later get a massive headache and have their daughter, Athena, spring fully grown and armored right out of his head.
And his affairs with mortal women, which, let's be honest, often involved some serious trickery, gave the world its greatest heroes. He came to Danae as a shower of gold to father Perseus, the guy who slays Medusa. He disguised himself as a swan to get with Leda, who then gave birth to Helen of Troy. These heroes were the bridge between the human and divine worlds, founding cities and creating royal lines that all claimed to trace their ancestry right back to the king of the gods.
So, let's fast forward a few thousand years. Why are we still talking about this ancient thunder god? Because the archetype he represents, the ultimate wielder of power, it never really went away, it just evolved.
A perfect example is what happened when the Romans adopted the Greek gods. They took Zeus and turned him into Jupiter. And it wasn't just a name change, his whole personality shifted. The Greek Zeus was passionate, messy, always getting involved in human drama. The Roman Jupiter? He was more like a stoic CEO of an empire, a symbol of state power and cool, detached authority. Less of a character, more of an institution.
But the archetype takes a much darker and frankly fascinating turn in our own century. In 2007, his name was given to one of the most infamous pieces of malware ever created, the Zeus Trojan. And just like its namesake, who used deception to get what he wanted, this malware was a master of disguise, pioneering ways to steal your banking info without you ever knowing it was there.
And the power of this thing was immense. By 2009, just 2 years in, it had compromised more than 74,000 accounts. And we're not talking small-time stuff. This included accounts at NASA and Bank of America. It was a digital thunderbolt for a new age, causing chaos from a new kind of Olympus.
On a much brighter note, his legacy also lives on in science, in the very domains he used to rule. You've got the European Space Agency's JUICE mission, which is right now heading to explore Jupiter's moons, many of which are named after his mythological lovers. We have the Zeus network, which is used to detect lightning. There's even a near-Earth asteroid named 5731 Zeus. So that leaves us with this one big question. From a mythical king to a computer virus, from a planet to a space mission, what does it say about us that whenever we need a name for ultimate, world-changing power, we keep coming back to Zeus? It seems that thousands of years later, he's still our go-to symbol for power in all its forms, both the kind that builds and the kind that breaks.